Motz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the ministers and your officials for coming. Mr. Minister Goodale, it's our understanding that, and this is from frontline CBSA officers, who, by the way, are worried about talking to MPs for fear of losing their job, have indicated that the normal initial process in dealing with regular asylum seekers usually takes about 8 hours. This is the initial process. But these same CBSA officers are now saying that the processing time for illegal border crossing initially has dropped to 1.5 to 2 hours. So that drastic reduction in initial processing time leaves Canadians to wonder what is being cut out of the process to deal with these illegal border crossing. Can you provide an explanation as to what you are not doing now that you would normally do for the legal border crossers that you're not doing? What have you cut?
Mr. Chair, I have, through this whole process over the last number of months, constantly sought advice from CBSA about how to handle the volume that they have to deal with in a timely way and in a way that does not, in any manner, short-circuit the security issues that need to be dealt with. And I have been assured repeatedly by the CBSA that there is no compromise on security. They have internally reallocated resources in order to make sure they have the personnel with the right skill and talent at the various border points that need that attention. They work seamlessly with the RCMP, and the RCMP have also reallocated resources into the areas that are most affected. CBSA, the RCMP, and the government have been absolutely vigilant to ensure that the security process was not compromised. And by the way, let me just say about if you're hearing a CBSA officer that says he's somehow reluctant to speak to a member of Parliament, he or she need not have any such reluctance. They are citizens of this country, and they're entitled to speak to their members of Parliament.
So basically, what I'm hearing is that some processes have been cut, and that the priority remains the security of Canadians to bring people in. So processes have been cut. Could you please provide in writing, or the CBSA department, to this committee at your earliest convenience, what processes actually have been cut, and we can move on.
I can provide. Your question implies some degradation of services.
No,
that implication is just not appropriate. I will provide a description of how we have coped with the volume in a way that processes that volume efficiently and does not compromise on safety and security. And any implication to the contrary is simply inaccurate.
So, and then with that explanation, the difference between how illegal border crosses are being processed now compared to the regular ones that were done before would be a good comparison. Thank you. So it's our understanding that in the shortened process, what's happening now is people who cross the border illegally are conducted only with a basic criminal history check, criminal records check, and fingerprinted. After that, they are told they can go, and the meeting is adjourned to a secondary meeting at some point. The asylum seekers asked to come back for a secondary meeting. These CBSA officers we spoke to are telling us that some of these asylum seekers, as we said, are not showing up for the secondary hearings. So if that's the case, how do we know where they are, who they are, and what's happening with that whole process, and how many are not attending these particular hearings? Do we have any numbers on that?
In the secondary hearing, I presume you're referring to is the IRCC interview,
the follow-up
that determines whether or not they are then eligible to go before the IRB.
Can you, and I just, given the limited time, Mr. Minister, I apologize. Can you just table those numbers for us? That would be great. So my last question would be, so how does the government propose to deal with this serious issue of people not coming back for their secondary interviews? And what's their plan to restore public confidence in our ability to secure our border, to make sure that and mitigate the concerns for public safety for those that come in through a process that is illegal and don't follow the process as they should.
We have 17 seconds.
Mr. Chair, we will examine all of these questions very carefully to make sure that we provide every bit of information we possibly can in response to the inquiries from various members of Parliament. But let me just say, the implication in this dump of innuendos that somehow the border is insecure